This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 541 for the week of Monday, October 15th, 2018. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And on today's show, we have our editor-in-chief, Kelly. How's it going?
Going really well.
That's good. And we also have a contributor and also the host of the Vintage Anime Club podcast. We have Dennis. How's it going?
It's going really well. I was able to take a stroll down memory lane today, thanks to this podcast.
Nice. So you'll hear what he's talking about. We're gonna go through. Dennis and Kelly both had trips to Japan, and they got to see the Jump 50th Anniversary Spectacular and a lot more. So you definitely want to listen to that segment. We also go through Volume 90 with our good pal and translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump, Stephen Paul. And I believe Steve is there as well, Steve Yurko. So you could listen to that. It comes with images, so you're going to hear a little camera shutter noise. That means a new image should pop up on your phone. If it's not working correctly, try the YouTube channel. Should be working correctly there. YouTube.com/One Piece Podcast. Also, please subscribe to us on Patreon at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. We should be having some new stuff for you there, including a new episode and the One Piece read-through first part of Dressrosa, which is the more positive half of Dressrosa. That should be coming out when you're listening to this, probably like a day or two after, if you listen to this right after it comes out, but this week. So definitely want to check that out. Apologies for the delay. We have the episode finished, but I just wanted to make sure we had the next ones, coming at a reasonable pace after. And they take a little while.
Better, because I've already read most of those 5 volumes of Dressrosa, so you better.
2 months. It'll come out in 2 months.
It'll come out. It's just that we talk a lot. If you haven't noticed,
Dressrosa's so long.
So we're like, we're only talking about the first 5 volumes of Dressrosa. This won't take long. 4 hours later. I don't think it was 4, but it was definitely way more than 2. So enjoy that.
Then we did a whole Reverie segment too.
It's probably over 3 hours. I haven't officially put it all together as of this recording, so we'll find out. And so there's also a little bit of news for you. So this comes from our good pal Steven, who said that the 4th issue of the One Piece magazine, which I believe comes out on the 19th, will have some Vivre card updates. So this is our Vivre card update segment, which we should have music or something for. Ed, do you have like a stinger or something?
No, I think we're good.
That's it. You heard it right there. So it's going to have...
So there's a Trafalgar Law Beaver card in the magazine, but Steven doesn't think that it'll be exclusive forever. The card will come out normally, I think, some other time.
Yeah, and it has Law's Devil Fruit powers, and it's so similar to the Gum Gum power one in the starter pack. So there might be other stuff too, but that's all I think that's all.
I think some people had mentioned people who can read Japanese and got the latest Fever cards that there was some interesting stuff maybe on Bonnie's, but I didn't actually see anyone say what it was. But maybe someone can take a look into that.
So other than that, I think that's really all the news. Why don't we get right into the show? You guys ready?
Sure.
Yep.
All right.
This is our manga recap for volume 90, whose name is, Steven?
Sacred Mary Joa.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's start with the cover, Steven.
Yeah, we had a pretty good, I think, conversation about this one when the cover was revealed. It's got a poster of Luffy. It's like the picture from Luffy's wanted poster, clearly on a piece of paper that is all ragged. And it is imposed over a sort of kaleidoscope of various figures who are present at the reverie. And in the background, we have the steps leading up to the empty throne and all of these swords stuck in the ground around it.
If only we knew who sat upon the empty throne. I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Yeah, Steve, did we talk to you about this cover? I forget if you expressed your opinions.
I was not on this episode.
Okay, so yeah, please lend us your opinions.
I thankfully, thanks to Zach, now seeing these shiny high-res photos, I like it a lot more. I don't know. Sometimes I kind of feel like, I don't like how some of these characters look now. I liked how Oda used to draw them, but I think that's kind of just like a silly like initial reaction thing. I think these look really great. There's a lot of women with pink hair in this series now.
They're all related.
But oh yeah, they are. And Mrs. Bucking is all their mom. Is all theirs mom. But the pinks and the purple from Wapple really pop here. But yeah, it's a cool layout. I always like the putting characters into these geometric shape illustrations. Oda used to do like, he does them from time to time, of course, but I always liked when Oda did it. They're fun, but I think I kind of have to agree with what someone said on the episode. Like Leo doesn't necessarily. No, not so much. Leo doesn't need his own spot, but
Dalton does.
Karoo does not need.
Oh, Karoo steals the freaking show as usual.
Like I didn't realize Karoo had a presentation at the reverie. I didn't realize
you were not paying attention to the same arc I was.
And his teeth do bother me too.
Yeah, that.
It's not so much that he has teeth, because he has teeth in comedic moments, but he only has a lower set of teeth. So it's a little disturbing.
It's bizarre.
It's a fine cover. It's not one of my favorites, but it's serviceable. It does the trick.
I realize Karoo has the reverse Simpsons thing, where it's a big underbite instead of a big overbite. I'm assuming.
Underbite.
Yeah. Maddie, did you say your thoughts on the? Maddie's here, by the way.
Yeah. I was on that episode, so
okay.
I'm good.
Okay, she's good.
Refer to the episode last week. Or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was.
It was at least 2 weeks ago. It was a long time ago.
I think I was the negative Nancy on it. I like it in concept. I like the concept more than the execution. And actually, Joey, who was not on that episode, I think he tweeted afterwards that he agreed. He was like, "Yeah, I'm with you on that one." Mm-hmm. I think for me, the worst part is just that I really hate the background color. It's just really ugly shade.
Thank you for bringing it up. I was just going to mention that. I associate the Reverie, Mary Joa being so much like in the clear blue sky. It's just this pure light that I just think like this burgundy or this dark red. I just don't. It just doesn't suit the tone. Maybe it suits the undertone of this arc with just how the world government is so messed up and how it just thrives off of the blood and sweat and tears of slaves. But yeah, I wouldn't associate this color with this arc. I think more white, very light blues, or even greens, yellow maybe, but yeah, not this color.
Yeah.
Are we to assume, and this is off topic slightly, that the Luffy picture, that's the wanted picture, his current one, is taken at Shabati? I don't know if we've discussed this. I'm just looking at the buildings in the background. And
it was.
It
was. Yeah.
They're odd looking buildings. That's the only reason I mention it. But, those look kind of like mangroves at the top. But yeah,
I forget if these wanted posters were covered in an SBS or just the cover story after the time skip. But Sanji's, which didn't get updated, it was only the back of his head while he was running, and that was Javon. So
yeah. Okay, I think we could see. So I asked the question: who sits on the empty throne?
Well, I think you said. I forget how we got talking about that because, well, you said, someone does sit on it, but we don't see them in this image, canonically speaking, of course.
That's true.
And then I had the idea, I was like, oh my God, what if it's Panda Man? And I'll be damned if I wasn't bang on with that one. Score 1 for Steven.
I think you have a lot of points at this point.
Okay, well, add an extra one there.
Yeah.
Because on the underside of the cover, we have Panda Man sitting on the throne, and he is celebrating. He's got the double V for victory up there.
Please let this be the end of One Piece.
Yeah, yeah. just like the post credits scene at the end. You see Panda Man sit on the throne.
I'd kill for
after
that.
all the chaos, yeah. And then Stanley pops his head out from behind. Anyways, getting into the volume itself. This is volume 90, and it covers from chapter 901 through 910. So that that basically takes us from Big Mom's post cake. This is the one that starts off the somewhat infamous chapter where we start off with Waratsumi swimming away with the sunny in his mouth.
Oh god!
As the reveal to the end of that cliffhanger, and it takes us all the way to the scene where Luffy washes up on the shores of Wano and then sees a giant baboon with a katana.
Baboon!
Big cliffhanger, guys. Big cliffhanger.
Yeah. That's a pretty good volume. A lot of good stuff in here.
Yeah, this volume is. I know why, kind of, but it's significantly shorter than the previous one. It like feels smaller. Yeah.
I think the last one had another chapter or two extra. But this one is about 200 pages. Yeah, it's a little over 200 pages when you add up all the ads and the Usopp.
It also
gallery.
covers a lot more like story, if I do say so myself. Yeah. Let's get started.
So let's get into it. The first SBS, let's see, is.
Are you missing something? The Oda-ism in the.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay, this is a bit of a tricky one here. In fact, this is reminding me, I still not sure if they have put together a replacement for that controversial comment about the war, the guy who got left over in the war. But anyway, what his comment here is, what is the thing in the world that is the most? I'm sorry, I'm going to use the Japanese term here, puri. So that's like the most. Let's see, what are the insinuations of that term? I guess jiggly or lively. That can refer to a butt, for example, like certain body parts are puri.
Tofu,
or could be. So he says, what is that? How sometimes you just start thinking about a topic like this for 3 hours. So maybe it's a really angry child going like pretty like brr, 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 like just sort of bouncing off the walls, or maybe it's a butt, or maybe it's a shrimp. Yeah, should we say it's a shrimp? Sure, let's go with that. Volume 90 begins.
Hey, Oda, just a suggestion from an adoring fan. Maybe those 3 hours you spend thinking about this, maybe you could use those to get a little extra sleep. Just a thought, just a suggestion.
I thought he was going to say to go on less breaks.
No.
You slave driver, Steve.
Oh, you're thinking about butts when you could be giving me more manga that I'm not paying for? That I'm not doing an impression of me. I'm doing an impression of someone else.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the actual manga.
Yeah. Let's go to the SBS. The first segment, we have a header from one of the frequent art submitters, who has a very, I guess, kind of pencil-looking style. And this is Chopper being chased by, oh God, which was this guy? The guy who goes U all the time, UN, I think.
Oh, Soldier Boy?
Yeah, yep, that's it. Soldier Boy is chasing him with a giant candy on a stick, I think. Something like that.
I watched Superman, that show, bro.
Mm-hmm. And Chopper is jumping into the mirror. So the reader who writes in first says, hey, welcome, step right up. We are serving fresh, cold SBS, right for the summertime. And this is a play on like hiyashi somen, which is like cold noodles that they only sell in the summertime when it's really hot.
I assume this was a Baltimore Otakon reference, but whatever. Very specific audience.
Oh,
It's only $1, Steve.
Got that nice cold Waldo.
And Oda is like, oh, wow, is that season already? Yeah, it sure is hot these days. All right, I guess I'll have a hey, Pops, give me a plate of that. Gosh, it's so nice here eating this and just soaking in the sound of the wind chimes and everything. Oh, is it ready already? Okay, here we go. And he's like, slurp, 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 munch. Yeah, that's it. This is the best part of summer. Just a plate of nice cold SB. What the hell? You started it without me. He does his Tsukomi, and then in parentheses he includes, and it's not even summer. So there you go. It's a little touch of the Japanese summer experience. Getting your nice cold noodles on a hot day. Next question is about Nami and her sea map, or her sea charts. It says Nami's dream is to draw a map of the world's seas all on her own. Is she actually doing that? And Oda says, yes, of course she is. Her daily ritual is to go and fill in, to draw what she has learned after dinner, and during the days when the story is happening and she actually has to help the crew voyage is when she's giving orders and such. So it's more often the case at those times that she's out on the deck, being active. So there you go. It's he has not forgotten that. Apparently she just she does it on the off time after dinner. Is when she draws her maps. Is a rare, useful, interesting question right off the bat for the SPS.
Yeah. No fart jokes yet.
Not yet.
It's fun. No. I was just watching the post Alabasta filler with some friends recently, and one of my friends always likes making a comment. Oh, it's the filler because Nami's drawing a map. I'm like, hey man, I'm pretty sure she's working. We just don't see it.
Yeah. She hides her effort.
But then I was like slagging. I'm like, yeah, I remember back when they'd show Nami on the boat and she'd be drawing maps, but now it's just like, I'm going to get naked and take a shower. This is what I do. It's my thing.
Yeah.
Sorry to get on that soapbox. I'm stepping off now.
Our next question is about the volume or the chapter 900 cover illustration, the color illustration, and from the picture here, I believe this is the Animal Crossing one, the cutesy little Zoe based color spread, and it says, I was noticing, I couldn't help but notice the way Chopper is looking in this arc, and he's got a rose in his hands, and he appears to be giving a sidelong glance at Milky the reindeer, who's standing right next to him, looking adorable, and this reader says, "Please, don't make Chopper have a romance. I want him to be everyone's Chopper." And Oda says, "Well, look, this is a very rare, encounter between people. It's a reindeer who also lives as a person." And Milky the mink, who he could actually be, I guess, be compatible with in a certain sense. If Chopper really falls in love, I can't stop that. I wouldn't be right. After all, love is always a hurricane. And they pulled out all of the panels where various characters in the series have quoted that line.
Every Chopper. I find this question pretty funny. It's like some kid giving like a divorced parent guff. It's like, you can't be dating again. It's like, don't you want them to be happy? Come on,
exactly.
On.
It's kind of like what is it, the pop idols where they're like, they can't get married, or they can't have relationships.
As of this recording, I'm going to see Perfect Blue later tonight, and I can't wait to yell that in the theater.
Love is a hurricane.
You can't love a man.
Yeah, it's like Urashima can't be in love with some woman. This is a scandal. This is that's the showbiz rules in Japan.
I forgot about this color spread till now, or also the announcement of the next color spread calendar. But this is so adorable. Let Chopper have his fun.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Also, kind of off topic, except for one chapter in this book, the whole thing is Orlumbus. Orlumbus from just about beginning to end, and I know it continues for some time after this. So I'm curious how much of 91 will be Orlumbus. Oh, I'm so excited.
Orlumbus.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You can continue.
It's
all right.
Damn. Sorry.
The second SBS segment, we have a really horrible header here with Diamante, Treble, and Pika forming. They're just kind of like I guess they're doing like the paper flipping thing, or they're using their powers to form.
You didn't mean horribly drawn. You meant that they're horrible characters.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. Like I don't want to see these guys. What are you putting them in here?
I really like this header though. I think it's very creative.
It is creative. Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a fan of these characters. I like Pika. I do like Pika, but this was a creative one. I like this one. I think all the headers in this volume are very creative, very good.
Pika's the only of these three that I have any fondness for. I think
could stay.
Yeah. So, what question?
Zach. Later, we're gonna have to play the game of marry, shag, kill with these three.
Oh no!
Lovely.
And shag? That's the term you're using. Okay, whatever. Go ahead.
Right. So our first question is about Cracker of the Sweet Three generals. What are the things that are sparkling at the ends of his hair, and how does he keep his cape attached? And first of all, Oda clears up that the cape is always connected with the spirit of the heart, the same thing that Zoro uses to speak. So the real problem is those little sparkling things, and he says, well, the truth is, even as I was drawing it, I was like, man, what is with these with these crackling things? Haha, that's so funny. When I was designing him, I just thought, hey, this looks kind of cool. I like this thing that I came up with, but hey, whatever. I just figured like that's fine. It can be whatever. It doesn't have to have a meaning. And then if you were to try to kind of retroactively fit it together, you could say that that I came up with the name Cracker afterwards because of that I designed this to be like firecrackers because of the name Cracker. Do you suppose he will burst eventually? So I guess what he's trying to imply was that he came up with that design before he knew he was going to name him Cracker or something, which is kind of weird because I always just assumed like, oh yeah, it's because Odo's doing a pun that his name is Cracker because he makes biscuits, but he also has firecracker hair. So that's a bit of a confusing answer on Oda's part, in my opinion.
It's almost like he's a Venture Brothers character.
Yeah. The next one is about the cover of chapter 902, where you see the Baratier, or excuse me. No, there's a scene with the Baratier. No, 902 has a color spread. So wow, the Baratier looks so much bigger. Are they, is business booming? Like, yeah, I can't wait to. I wish I could tell Sanji about that. And we have some comparison pictures here where you see an old like original arc picture of the Baratier, and then the current Baratier where it has a couple extra floors on the structure. And Oda says, yes, that is correct. In fact, on the cover of chapter 625, the Baratier was under renovation, and this is the completed look of it now. And as well, they also have, Carne, the meat master, and Patty, the patissier, the sweets chef, who have their own like affiliate ships that with their own separate restaurants. And so all three of them together are now that is the full form of the seafaring restaurant Baratier.
That's what those were.
I thought those were connected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. No, apparently, yeah. Well, I'm sure they can probably connect them directly if they want to, but it kind of looks like
Voltron.
Yeah,
yes,
but
yes, Zach, it's like Voltron.
I think they probably also can be separate if they want to.
So good for Patty and Carney that they went on their own a little bit.
I do enjoy the updated Barate only because we get the those little marks kind of. I think that's just meant to show like a boom, like here's the new Barate, but it looks like the fish head is under distress.
Mm-hmm.
Take another look at it.
Yeah. It's got the sweat coming off of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next segment is going to be the bane of me and our letter's existence. This is under the assumption that this is actually going to make its way into the English version. But at the end of the next chapter, which is the Revolutionary Army commander, the one with Morley and Bella Betty and so on, they have 7 pages of character profiles to catch you up to speed on everyone who is going to appear, or all the important names and characters to know before the Reverie. Yes, including Stelly, Charles. In fact, it's kind of giving away the game in a certain sense 100%. Because it's like, yeah, all of these characters who do appear. So in a sense, I'm kind of happy that, I read through it weekly rather than having all of these it's like the previously on whatever show where they bring back and it's like, oh, okay, well that character is going to be in this episode obviously since they picked this random scene from 2 seasons ago.
And Battlestar Galactica had like, this is what's happening in this episode. They had I don't even know how to describe this.
God.
Instead of previously on.
Yeah. So yeah, and these just straight up look like data book pages, like with a whole bunch of panels from the manga and captions and big splash text like the princess of the kingdom who sets sail to who set sail with the crew before, and all these little descriptions and things.
To be fair, I think readers who are not us or as into it as us probably do need this pretty badly. Especially going into the Reverie arc where, there are some refreshers, but just kind of...
Yeah. Oda's little refreshers were very brief, to be fair. So we will go ahead...
Although the hat one is the biggest spoiler at the end of that. The fact that they have a whole page just on a hat.
Right.
I'd be like, what?
Gold D. Roger, Shanks, Monkey D. Luffy, and then even the fake straw hat. Fake Luffy. It's hilarious. So the next SBS, again, one of the regulars who submits these headers this one is awesome. It is
this is my favorite.
Capone, Chiffon, and Pez, just like holding up their hand. I guess they just wrote SBS on their hands, and then Pez has a little flag. But they are, God, this is like their Christmas card. Like, what the hell?
They are the best family, or at least dysfunctional family in One Piece. I think we could all say,
yeah, definitely one of them.
Biological, at least, yeah.
I mean, if you had money on that, like when we first saw Capone, like, oh, this is like the proudest papa in One Piece when we see him again, that would be a very good guess, indeed. So the first question here is about Big Mom. Question that we've all wanted to know. Hello, Oda Sensei. Big Mom must have a whole bunch of ex-husbands. How do they decide that? Does she have like, does she do omiais, which is the, the arranged marriage meetings where you meet the prospective person with your your parents and whatnot on either side of the table, that sort of thing. And but it says she's a pirate. She takes her husbands by force. Once she has kids, then she dumps them. So Her only purpose is to have kids of a bunch of different races. She's a very scary woman.
No, screw him. Pirates don't ask for people's hands in marriage. They take them.
Did you mean screw him literally?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, there's lots of double entendres.
Where's
here.
Maddie with her really bad with the laugh that's supposed to go in that part?
I thought someone would appreciate a season 1 Venture Brothers reference.
Go ahead.
Next is again about Big Mom. And it says, what will happen to Totoland the next time Big Mom has one of her hunger pangs and she wants to eat wedding cake? I can't imagine that they will be able to create that wedding cake again. And Oda says, good point. This is it's very nice of you to ask a question, being so concerned about the state of Totoland in the future. Do you suppose they would, do you suppose that in the case of an emergency, they would just flee from Totoland? The problem is the New World is a very dangerous place. The seas are dangerous. Part of the reason that those people, that her family and the citizens of Whole Cake Island are there is because they are protected by the name of Big Mom. From the other threats that exist outside of her territory, if some bigger danger, exterior danger, approaches, then they're going to rely on Big Mom to help them. That's part of the problem. That's the challenge of living in Totoland, and part of the just kind of a truth behind living under a huge power. And then he includes in parentheses at the end, wow, that was such a serious answer. So there you go. He's kind of saying like, yeah, this is the deal with the devil that they made to live in Big Mom's country. You get to live in this awesome place with all this crazy food and islands and diversity and all that. And you never know when the lady in charge might go berserk and start eating you. The last SBS question for this segment is about Gerd, the beautiful giant ship doctor. And this person is just asking, okay, is the little girl from from Big Mom's flashback the same as the one on the Giant Pirates cover story? Oda says yes. 63 years ago, Big Mom was 5 and Gerd was 12. So now Big Mom is 68 and Gerd is 75. And remember that giants live to be 300 years old, so she's still pretty young. So there you go. She's older than Big Mom. The next SBS segment after that is a parody of Zoro's "Nothing Happened" scene, except he's saying, "I didn't have a joke." So I guess he didn't have any better ideas.
That's almost the equivalent of someone making a comic about making a comic.
Yeah.
24
hour comic day. See the first question. Actually, I really like this question. It is about the appearance of Atachan, Flaming Atachan, in chapter 905, where we saw him up close, taking pictures and calling, speaking to the president, President Morgans. So does that mean that he's working for the World Economic Journal? And Oda says, that's right. Some of you may already be familiar with Atachan, the photographer. He used to be the person in charge of the Naval Photography Division, but he committed the mistake of leaving the lens on his camera 57 times, and finally got.
It's amazing.
all Sanjis.
Probably several of them, and so Morgans hired him after he got let go. And
Morgans is not as intelligent as we thought. His hiring practices, at least.
now he says Flaming Atachan is now he now works for the World Economic Journal as a cameraman using a camera that specifically does not have a lens. Fire! So there you go. They've solved the issue. Is just give him one that doesn't have a lens cap.
Well, that explains how Absalom got the job. There was an opening.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good call. So the next question, which is a very deep and powerful one, says, man, when Luffy and Katakuri fought, I noticed that Luffy uses his hat to cover Katakuri's mouth after he defeats him, and he's laying on the ground. He's like, man, that was so cool. They were both so cool in that fight. If I ever see you, Oda-san, sleeping naked on the side of the road, I would use my hat to cover your symbol of manhood. Says
naked?
Neon. Yes, sleeping naked. And Oda says, oh, I understand. That does happen from time to time when you happen across a sleeping naked Oda on the side of the road. Thank you. But
who is that man with a fish head? Go ahead.
But is your hat big enough? Can the symbol of my manhood be hidden by a mere hat? And then in parentheses, he says, yes, it certainly can. I got carried away there.
Did not expect us to go in that direction somehow.
I did the misdirect there at the start of the question. Yep. So the last question here on this one is, Oda Sensei, all you do seem to do is answer dirty questions. Doesn't your wife ever get angry at you? And
this is actually a great question.
Great question. And Oda says, my wife laughs at everything, so it's okay. Thank you for being concerned about my family life. And the reason that the SBS is like this is not my fault! Exclamation points.
Yeah, but what about the color spreads?
I mean, he still has to pick the questions, right? So it seems like a very disingenuous answer there.
Yeah, I don't think he's giving the full. I'm very curious about that,
though. So let's see. Next one, we still got a couple more. There's a lot of SBS in this volume. The next one is a header with Nami and Zeus, and Nami is using her perfect claim attack to produce the black balls that Zeus loves so much, to form the SBS. And the first question is about chapter 847, where Prospero, when Nami is covered in the syrup in the prison there, he calls her Candy. He calls her Candy-chan. Did he lick her afterwards? I'm so curious that I can't do anything else. Please draw Nami being licked by Prospero, please. And the writer, the pen name is from a woman who seeks to be an author. And
yeah,
Oda
okay.
And Oda says, okay, hell no. He says, God, I was like, what kind of perverted old man sent me this postcard? And it's a girl. Wow, man, aren't the dirty jokes like really bad this time? This is the SBS is supposed to be a healthy place where, a healthy, an upright, honest author has, meets and shares his opinions with healthy girls and boys. So would you mind not ruining this segment for me, please? Thank you. So there you go. One of the dirtiest ones we've seen yet.
Yeah, and this comes right after the chapter where Shanks meets the 5 elders. So it's just like, imagine going from that to this.
Lovely.
Yep.
The next question is, Wadachi, I just thought of an amazing idea. Fugu, blowfish, is really delicious, but it's also poisonous, right? But, if every time you ate fugu, you had Reiju suck out the poison, not only would it be delicious, but you would also get to, wouldn't that be just like two birds with one stone? And Oda says, aha, I see. So what you're saying is, okay, so you're going to eat some fugu, you're going to get poisoned, but let's just say that Reiju happened to be busy that day and didn't come and you died, you pervert. And then he includes in parentheses, don't worry, the fugu that you eat at a restaurant is safe. Just a disclaimer. Last question here is, when you hear the words pirates 40 years ago and Garp, I can't help but think of Shaki. Could there be some connection between Shaki and this Rocks figure? And Oda says, oof, wow, that was also 40 volumes ago, and you remember that? I have no idea what you're talking about. And he whistles, and he includes a handy panel from the Shabandi arc where Luffy is asking Shaki, or she's like, "Oh, you're a pirate," and she says, "Yeah, but I left the business 40 years ago."
There's a real question with no answer.
Yeah, a real question. Well, one that he very explicitly sets up as like, oh, maybe there's something here. So interesting. Next one is okay. Here we go. Here's the good stuff.
Genie Weenie, you mean?
Yeah, yes, Genie Weenie erupting out of Daifuku, forming the SBS. That's a pretty good illustration. I think some good detail there. But no, the Oda illustrations here. We have seen Luffy and Ace at ages 40 and 60. So please give us Sabo now. And so Oda, again, another disclaimer, says, well, I don't really know what the future will hold for this character. So take this all with a grain of salt. And we have Sabo at age 40, kind of, same hairstyle, and with some facial hair. And he's saying like, oh yeah, man, he's got it good. He's so free and fancy free. And at age 60, he seems to have kind of gotten over his scar thing, because now he has his hair all slicked back.
Yeah, he's turned into a Rayleigh kind of look there.
Yeah. And he says, what? Straw Hat caused an incident? Forget it. Leave him alone. Don't bother. And then we have the alternate, the crappy future.
I like this version.
Yeah. So age 40, Sabo, he's still got the top hat, and now he's got a Dick Dastardly mustache that he's twirling. And he's saying, anyone aside from nobles are trash. And so this is apparently where he is still a noble, and he's all arrogant now.
And he was giving the wonderful name by Maddie. And what was that name, Maddie?
It was Sabo Sabastardly.
Sabastardly.
Sabastardly Sabo strikes again.
That is great. And then age 60, where he seems to be a bit of a bum here, I guess. And he's saying, "Hey, you know Luffy? Yeah, he's my brother. He can vouch for me. He can pay for me. Just give me a drink. That's all I need. Just one drink." So he's using Luffy's name to get free booze.
What a crumb bum.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then finally here, we have a list of more kind of miscellaneous Big Mom family folks, and he just sort of collected a bunch of questions into one. And we've got all these guys here. I'm just going to say their names. We've got Beskart, Noisette, San Mark, Duckworth. Duckwords?
I hope it's Duckworth.
Duckworth sounds good to me. Kato, Mukuru, who's we've mentioned before, Anglais, Dolce, Drage, and Anana, who were all definitely named in the manga.
Yeah, those were.
And it has their their ages and their.
Is the pumpkin one the same pumpkin one that was chasing what's his name? Pedro.
Pedro? Yeah, I think so.
So is he just like a pumpkin man? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's weird.
Is he a homie like made out of a pumpkin, or is he an actual child? Like
Peter Pumpkinhead.
He's 28, so he's.
I don't care how old the pumpkin
child,
man is. Yeah. It doesn't...
Wait. So the little greaser kid that doesn't brush his teeth is 42?
No, he's the 42nd son.
Jeez. Because the pumpkin, I guess he's the 20. He's the 28th son and also 28 years old. Okay.
Yeah, but Anglais is 14. So the little kid on the caterpillar who doesn't want to brush his teeth is 14 years old, which is weird.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
That's a little too old. Yeah.
Okay.
12.
We brush
maybe,
your teeth.
Yes, that's for sure.
All right, and then our final SBS segment has a very cute header. It doesn't actually have an SBS theme, but it is just a picture of the Sun Pirates. Excuse me, I was going to say the Fishman Pirates, the Pirates of the Sun, their ship, and a very cute looking Wadatsumi, just sort of hanging out.
Adorable. And you almost forget he's a giant bearded hairy man.
Yeah, with a weird lisp.
And his voice is super high.
Yeah. And so the question is about Charlotte Mondor and Charlotte Opera. Within the series, within the story, you did not reveal the names of their devil fruits. So can you tell us more about them? And he says Mondor has the book fruit, and hence being the bookkeeper. And he can sort of make living things, kind of living samples. Puts them in a sample book. He can fly through the air with a book. He can pull people into a story within the book. He says it is a varied and interesting enough power that you could potentially have him be just the boss of a whole arc on its own, based on those powers. And Opera has the cream fruit. He can make cream with his body and control it, and uses the brand new attacking concept of sweetness, which makes him a very tricky enemy to fight. Not really sure how that works, but he didn't really do much in the series anyways. Next question is about the hobbies. This is kind of a random one. What are the hobbies of Smoker, Tashigi, and Lady Hina? And Oda says that Smoker's hobbies are pottery and going to the casino. Well, I mean, smoking, you'd fit right in at the casino. Tashigi's hobbies are reading books about swords and making cutout art, cutout picture art, kirie as they call it in Japanese, which is, you probably got that idea because she's cutting stuff. And then Hina's hobbies are horse riding and clubbing. So there you go.
Yes, but what man can tame her?
Who was that? Was that Martin, or is that?
No, it was Ralph with the wrong voice.
That's right. Oh God. Okay. And then final question of the SBS. It says, I love Crocodile, Mihawk, and Doflamingo. Are these three going to be bachelors their entire lives? Are they not going to have children ever? What would they look like if they had children? And Oda says, yeah, I wonder if any of them have been married. Well, I don't know if they have any kids or not. So I'll just use my imagination to draw what I think they would be like. So I guess making it clear that these are not canonical in any way. And God, these kids. Okay, so Crocodile's kid looks like a smarmy version of Ida from My Hero Academia.
Yes,
he's got the part in his hair and the glasses. and he's doing a little salute, and he says, "I have accomplished my homework, Father." So like he's reporting in.
He's calling him on a transponder snail. Excellent. Report home for supper.
Yeah. Mihawk's kid looks a lot like him. Kind of got the sharp look in his eyes, and he's saying, "What do you want, you bunny bastard?" I'm not sure who he is talking to in this case.
Was Mihawk taking him to the mall to get a picture with the Easter Bunny?
Yeah, or something. Yeah, he looks like a young Dracula in training, kind of. And and then Joe Flamingo's kid, who has the shades, of course, because you can't give away the family resemblance by drawing his eyes. He says, "Papa, they stole my allowance. Give me more allowance, please." And you can see shining behind his back is a wad of bills that he's apparently hiding from his dad as he asks for more allowance.
I wouldn't have picked up on that. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, that's great.
Awful hair.
Yeah.
I really thought it would, like, if he actually did have his money stolen, I thought he'd be for sure Doflamingo's kid if he said, "Hey, some bullies took my money. Can I have a handgun?"
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a pretty good one too. Yeah, no, I like it. And that is it for the SBS. There's like I said, there's a bunch of ads and obviously the Usopp Gallery as usual.
And the upcoming movie in 2019.
Yes, they have the spread based on the movie. It just has like all the posters for all of the previous movies. It doesn't have any like, oh, here's some sneak peek stuff. It's just literally saying, hey, wait for next summer. And
it's the 20th anniversary of the anime.
Indeed, yeah, and they do have an ad for the One Piece magazine, which says Volume 4 coming out this fall. So sometime soon.
Yeah.
So we'll have that to look forward to.
We're almost in fall. Yep. I don't know when this is happening. Anyway, thank you so much for that. Let's get into the next segment, Stephen, and everyone else.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. This is Ed, and joining me for this particular segment, we have Dennis.
Hello.
And Kelly.
Hello.
You guys are going to be talking about some of the recent One Piece exhibits and events that you guys both visited when you were in Japan recently. Although you guys got to visit different the Universal Studios and the exhibit as well as the Tokyo Tower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So whoever wants to go first, what did you guys see?
Should I start, Dennis?
Yeah, go for it. You were technically in Japan before I was, so
that
go
is
for it.
true. I was there in July. So I actually was lucky enough to go to the second day of the Tokyo One Piece Tower's One Piece Day festivities with William, who also contributes to the podcast and the show on occasion. And we sat in on 4 different panels, which were about toys, so how they create toys and how they sculpt and design the toys. One with voice actors, another with the actual actors for the Tower show that they do, the Phantom show. And then additionally, one with our very own Greg, talking about different aspects of One Piece with a couple of the editors.
Oh, cool. I was actually curious.
Tokyo Tower. Oh,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
all at the Tokyo Tower. Mm-hmm.
I was curious about the actors for the shows that they have in the tower there. That they act with a vocal track, so they don't actually say anything.
Yep,
No.
and that's actually very common for all live One Piece events, at least all the ones I've seen. And Dennis, you can feel free to corroborate that. But it
Yeah.
seems like they're all lip syncing for tracks. They do it at the Tower. They do it at USJ.
It's fascinating. Like the only place I've seen it in America is at Disney.
Yeah.
They do it at Disney in Japan as well. So
They do, yeah. It's a little weird up close. So I didn't go to the Sanji restaurant this year, but I went last year. And that's one of the things that's a little odd because they're literally next to you and you can see them lip syncing. And, it's a little bit of suspension of belief there because you're like, okay, there's Sanji. It's not really Sanji, but it's Sanji. So I'm gonna focus my adoration that way. But yeah, it is a little weird to see that lip syncing up close.
Mm-hmm. I thought the costumes and stuff for the live action shows were great. Like I also got to see the Phantom Thief event at the One Piece Tokyo Tower. And while I was not able to get a photo op in time because apparently that sold out for the day before I got there, I thought everyone's costumes looked good, especially how they're able to move and stuff in the actual show itself.
Yeah, the stage shows over there are really nothing like you've ever seen because it seems like they're implying like a lot of different theater techniques as well, things with puppetry and a lot of acrobatics, but then they've sort of modernized that as well with holograms and different things like that. So it's a really interesting sort of mixed media presentation that they do.
How big is the stage at the Tokyo Tower versus, say, Universal Studios Japan?
So the Tokyo Tower, what do you think, Dennis? It sits like maybe 50 to 100?
50 to 100.
Session?
It's a weird shape because it's kind of about as wide as the actual seats go, but then there's this little tiny offshoot for a DJ table, and every now that's where I ended up sitting like next to. So every now and then you'll have the whole crew kind of go on this side little catwalk thing where they're interacting with where Chopper's getting puppeted along with another creature getting puppeted over there, and then they go spread out around and do all their stage show stuff. I think the only downside is there are a bunch of pillars every which way, and I'm like, oh hey, I cannot get a good photo.
Just being reminded that you're in like an office building.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's about right. And it's funny because they do, I think maybe 4 to 5 of those shows a day. Yes. And you usually only go once. So you scan your ticket and you can only go one time per day, but they're always packed.
So is there anything in particular that you learned at any of the panels that you want to share? Or?
Yeah. So as you probably are aware, I love merch and buy a lot of figures and do spend a lot of time writing about and shopping for them. And the panel with regards to how they create the figures was very, very interesting. They had 2 different artists and they talked about how they actually do the process. And one of the things I found fascinating was nothing is done off of a computer anymore. Because, in your mind, when you see these sort of mock-ups of them, you think it's clay. Or at least it looks like clay, and you're sitting there going, wow, this is amazing. But it's all done with these 3D modeling programs on a computer, and then they actually print them in different phases with a 3D printer. And what they showed us in the panel was the different layers in the program that they were using and how they set everything up, and then how they'll do these 3D printouts of the figure in various forms. So if you could picture like the most basic shape, very smooth and not a lot of detail, they check that, they look at the measurements, they go in and adjust, and then it kind of just evolves from there. But everything is done with a 3D printer these days. At least most of the stuff is done with a 3D printer. And that was really neat. And they brought in the actual physical, I guess, do you call them 3D prints? What do you call those?
Yeah, 3D printed models.
There, 3D, that's what it is. The 3D printed models of the different versions. And if you remember that Zorro figure that was sort of like leaping up in the air with the swords out, that particular figure, they actually had a model posing for it originally so they could do the sketches. And they don't always do that, but I guess for that particular figure, they needed certain body proportions and certain poses to look a little bit more natural. But they brought every single phase out of that figure so you could see it all the way through to the finished color product. So that was absolutely fascinating.
Nice.
Right on. So was there anything new that you saw at the Tokyo Tower this time versus what you saw previously?
So for me, there was the art exhibit for, I think it was like sad or emotional. It was like the sad stories. So it had, all the artwork from the different epic sad moments of the actual series, and they usually have some of the storyboards and some of the art kind of displayed up on like the second or the third floor. They have like a little gallery. Now, Dennis, when you went, there was a different exhibit, right?
Yeah, they had it was basically just like it's hard to say what it was. I have to look at my pictures and stuff too, but they had an exhibit up there, and it was a lot of, because it was promoting the third year for the Tokyo Tower. I can't remember.
It opened in 2015.
2015. Okay, so yeah, it was the third year Tokyo Tower exhibit that they were celebrating for. They had a lot of, which you couldn't take pictures of. Well, no, actually, no. This one you could take pictures of manga replicas and stuff that were up there of like infamous scenes. They had a wall that had like every One Piece character on there, super tiny. There was also a display where there's a lot of displays at the Tokyo Tower exhibit that you can take pictures with or next to. And one of the newer ones that I saw was the crater for when Kaido fell.
Yes.
I asked my girlfriend if she wanted to take a picture with me in there. She's like, no, not really. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take a picture of it then, fine. But it was pretty neat.
No, Dennis, was that your first time to go to the tower?
It was my first time going to the tower, and technically my first time in Japan too. So
Excellent.
I wanted to make sure I was able to knock both of those off my bucket list. So
that gift shop is dangerous.
Yeah, very much so. I bought a lot of dumb things.
Me too.
A towel with all the wanted posters. I didn't need that, but I wanted it. And a luggage koozie.
Yes.
Which, for those who don't know, there's like, I've seen a lot of those hard-sided luggage cases where people put a bunch of stickers and stuff on there. And for One Piece, for some reason, they had little like wraps that you can put around. And of course, being me, I got one that had God Usopp's wanted poster on it.
Excellent.
So once I actually find a suitcase that fits it, I'll be rolling around with that next time I travel.
I was gonna say, did you like put it on your suitcase on the way home? But I guess you weren't able to.
I was not able to. My carry-on wasn't the right size for it, so I have to find one that does fit the right size.
Right on. So is there anything else from the Tokyo One Piece Tower that either of you wanted to talk about?
I think the only thing I'll say was the voice actor panel was Usopp's, Nami's, and Luffy's voice actors. So that was pretty fun to see them play off of one another. Nice. Mayumi Tanaka is hilarious.
I saw Yamaguchi-san in person at Animazement in Raleigh, North Carolina in like 2010. And basically everything anyone asked him to do that weekend was the Usopp song.
Nice.
Like he was surprised, and he had sung it a bunch already. Anyway, all right. So you guys both went to the One Piece exhibition that's going on around Japan currently, but you guys both saw it in Tokyo, right?
The Jump Anniversary?
A Jump Anniversary, that's right.
Yeah, that was only in Tokyo over in like Roppongi Hills.
Okay.
In Roppongi, yep.
Basically, Shonen Jump was celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, and they had 3 different exhibits through, I want to say like 3-month periods, something like that.
Yeah, the first one I think was at the end, at the summertime-ish of 2017. Then the second one was in this, because I actually was lucky enough to go to all 3.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of scheduling, but I'm super happy I did. It was like a goal. The first one was, summertime of 2017, and that was like the early years. Then the springtime was the 90s, I think.
90s to like just the aughts, or maybe like even 99, 2000, something like that.
And then this particular one started, I think, July 17th for the final edition and ran through September 30th.
Yeah, which I was like, well, I guess I'm going in September. Oh, I need to hit up this exhibit, which I am very grateful for, because I didn't realize that all the other exhibits that I would have liked to have attended, I needed tickets early. Like I could not get Ghibli tickets when I wanted to go. And I also couldn't get JoJo tickets either. So both of those art exhibits required tickets to be bought beforehand. And I did not know that. So I'm really grateful that the Shonen Jump one was you could walk into and just buy the ticket the day of.
Yeah. That was very, very lucky, because the first one we went to, I wasn't sure what the deal with that was. So I was a little nervous that I didn't have a ticket in advance. Something
I didn't realize either was there are different restrictions depending on the day that you get to go when you go to this exhibit. So, like Kelly, when you went on like a weekday, right?
Yes, deliberately.
Yeah, and I went on a weekend, and apparently on a weekend you are not able to take pictures in, let's say, 75% of the exhibit, which I was so mad, but I was able to fix that later. Don't worry. But yeah, it I was like, I have to commit all this to memory. I got to write everything down on the order that we saw things in. I want to talk about this on the podcast, but man, it was all gorgeous. And you went on a weekday.
I did. And it's funny because the first two exhibits, you couldn't take pictures at all. It didn't matter.
No.
They only let this happen for the last installment.
What from One Piece in there did you see?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
so I don't know who's going to go first because we're probably going to get so excited and talk over each other.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. When you first get there, you're greeted with like a collage wall of pretty much like every jump cover that they are trying to showcase the exhibit stuff from. And I will also preface this in saying there are a few series that did not get featured, even though you might fondly remember them. So for me, I'm like, there was no cross manage, and there was no straighten up the dancing, the dancing manga, high school competitive dance. I really enjoyed both of those titles, and they were not represented. But after you walk into the wall, you are greeted with just man. It's an amazing exhibit of One Piece art that you're greeted with right away. Kelly, do you want to try to elaborate what this is?
Oh gosh, yeah. So each crew member has a section, and it's got their bounty and all of these different sort of pivotal moments from their particular storyline sort of surrounding them, and they all light up in different ways. And basically, it's a circular room, and you're surrounded. And I, of course, went to a beeline for Sanji, so that's where most of my photos are. But, oh my gosh, it was so pretty.
It's also mirrored too, so the lights are able to reflect and stuff well enough. There are sometimes like colored strobe lights, but it's all black and white manga panels. But it's basically in the center is supposed to be some kind of, I don't know if you want to call it a portal or something, but there's basically an outpouring, a gusher of manga pages shooting out from the middle and then basically spreading throughout all the walls. I'm sure if you check Kelly's social media, you'll be able to see some of those photos that way.
Yeah, I can post a bunch of these after if we want to put some on the site, because I made sure I took a ton of pictures.
Sounds good. Go check One Piece Podcast website, or even maybe some social media post that's going to have Kelly's photos.
And the one thing I'll say, and you'll probably hear me say this multiple times, I was so impressed by the layout and design of each room of these exhibits. Whoever set these up did an amazing job. Every room was different as far as what manga it focused on. And it was always this excellent sort of mix of multimedia and the manga panels and sometimes sound, and every single room you went into was different and stood out. I was, other than saying, I like the One Piece room because One Piece, if you were just going on the room value itself, you couldn't really pick one because they were so well done. Yeah,
we'll probably talk about a couple of other titles later, some favorites. I know I have a couple, and I know you do too. But what was also neat too is almost every manga creator was able to contribute a new piece of artwork as well, showcasing some of their more memorable characters. And what I thought was hilarious too is for some of the tag team ones, like Oba and Obata, from like Death Note and what do you call it? What was the other one? Bakuman, along with the duo creators for iShield, the manga artist and the writer was able to do a little doodle. And so when you see some of the writer doodles, I thought they were, adorable and hilarious. It's like, yeah, I can't draw. That's why I write. Here you go.
Yeah, they were really, really cute. And I liked the way they kind of paced that throughout. There were some of the areas had different sketches of different characters. So, for example, like when they did the Gintama exhibit section, because they take so many references from different manga, they would have Gintama characters referenced in different rooms during that part to kind of say, oh, this is where they pulled it from. So it was just the attention to detail was amazing. Dennis, should we get into the actual One Piece room?
Sure. I don't know how.
That's what everyone's here for.
I don't know how in detail you want us to go, but man, this was.
It's the One Piece podcast. How much detail you think we want?
So after you enter the flooding of manga pages for One Piece, you go into a room that showcases some more memorable scenes, some color spreads, also no photography whatsoever. But it's in a giant gallery area that there's like a weird curved wall that you're kind of walking around, and then you realize with the paint job, oh, it's just a giant straw hat that you're walking around instead.
Smack dab in the middle of the room.
Yup. And there's just a lot of I think this one focused more so on the time skip stuff.
There was a lot of that. I will say that it went up to Whole Cake Island, so it did end with that. Most of the art was time skip, and what they did that was really cool was each crew member had a panel, and it was in order of their joining the crew. And you might have seen a couple other people tweet about this or mention it, but after Brook, they did have a panel with Jinbei. So that was really, really cool to see him in the position that he should be in.
I can say some of the manga panels that they have up if anyone wants to dig deep into those. There's the New Age color spread that has all the Straw Hats with like Law and his crew and Kinemon all in black, along with some of the other Worst Generation. There's a bunch of attacking being done from Zoro and Chopper and even Brook on Fishman Island. Sanji versus Virgo, General Frankie, and bunch of beautiful, gorgeous color spreads. And we also get some of friends of the crew as well. Like we have Sabo showing up in a couple of color spreads. And when Kelly mentioned Whole Cake Island, I think there was a pretty good chunk of Whole Cake Island spreads on there too.
There was a Luffy Katakuri battle on there. Then there was also one with Big Mom near the tail end of that as well.
Yeah.
The one standout, I think, for me was the time skip panel. And I'm sure you know exactly which one I'm talking about, Dennis, where it shows all the different crew members in their current locations. It's that spread of 8 characters.
Yes.
And the thing that struck me the most, and it's going to sound really cheesy, but like I'm not going to lie, I got a little like teary-eyed. I was like, oh my gosh, just to see this stuff up close. But what really hit home for me was that all the dialogue is just handwritten on there. And I loved seeing that, because if you look at some of the other manga panels, you'll see that they use like transfers, or they've typed up the Japanese and they've pasted it on. But the ones that they had for One Piece, it's handwritten dialogue on a lot of it. And just seeing that in the little notes, that was such a big highlight for me to just, I don't know, it meant more seeing it handwritten,
Totally agree. And there's lots of One Piece to talk about there, but the gallery doesn't just stop there. And honestly, with how much I paid to get into the gallery, which, I don't think it was cheap, but it wasn't super expensive either. I was like, this was already worth it. Great.
Oh God, yeah. I think it's like 20 something. It's like equivalent of like 20 something dollars. Yeah.
Wow.
And if you want to go in order, there was a big send-off for Kochikame that was there right after One Piece, since that is one of the longest running manga titles out there. And not being familiar with it, man, this art is gorgeous. Like, yes, it's all jokey and whatnot, but there's if Oda's attention to detail on backgrounds is like, kind of like AA plus, whoever does the backgrounds for Kochikame is up there too, because these backgrounds are gorgeous.
Wow.
Like, you see a very highly detailed cityscape, and then it's the main characters and however formed they are, and it's just it's stunning to look at, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd ever actually be able to get into this manga itself, but it was a nice send off. And Kelly, I think you can collaborate or corroborate on this, but Kochikame was in all 3 of the exhibits, wasn't it?
Yes, and there was a much larger focus in the previous exhibits for it. So what they primarily focused on in the other 2 shows was the different time periods and how like cultural references sort of seeped their way into the manga. So sometimes they'd have like a Tamagotchi reference, for example, and then they'd actually have the actual Tamagotchi toy in a little case next to it. So I loved the way they sort of took the pop culture item of the day and actually juxtaposed it next to the manga panel that it referred to.
Right on. Is there anything else from the Jump show that you wanted to talk about?
So do we want to do our favorites, Dennis?
We can do so them, yeah.
All right.
You can go first, Kelly. Go ahead.
God, it's so hard. Okay. The Haikyuu room was fantastic. I like Haikyuu very, very much. And in this particular room, they had this amazing full-sized wall picture of just most of the cast members just leaping into the air. And, they had their usual standout manga panels, but then they also had sections where they had the different schools grouped together with the colors and different logos and stuff. And that one was just an absolute joy to see. And I'll do my last one because I literally could talk about every one of these for like 50 years. It was the My Hero Academia room.
That one was great too. I do want to mention that I love the banners for each of the schools in the Haikyuu room. And Kate was not caught up yet, so she did get slightly spoiled, but they are in that part in the free section on Shonen Jump or Viz manga app right now. Like they are there now, but when she read it and was like, who are these people? Like, I'll find out about that later. She's technically an anime only watcher.
Yeah.
My Hero Academia section, go.
Okay, so jump in because I suspect this is one of your favorites too.
It was really good.
Oh my gosh.
It was.
So when you walk into this particular room, the first thing you see against one of the walls is Bakugo, Midoriya, and Todoroki in these giant sort of like standee panels. So there's like a manga panel behind them and then they're in color in the front. But it reminded me so much of packaged action figures. Like these were their action figures because now they're heroes. So you just walk in and you see this bright, colorful wall with sound effects and it's like boom and crash and all this stuff and bright, bright letters behind it. So it was just like such an energetic and colorful room. And I mean, I absolutely love all the artwork for this particular manga. So I was just in heaven looking at all the different color spreads and everything like that. But got a lot of feels in this room too, for sure.
One of the fun, nice touches too is that all the characters have their hero name and powers, with the exception of Bakugo, because he still hasn't picked his hero name, if you happen to be caught up and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking at it. It has the name for like one of his rejected names as a Bakusatsu Kyo.
Yep.
Which I don't remember what that actually translated to, but it just crossed out. It's like, nope, rejected. You can't have that as your name.
Yeah, I think there was Lord Explosion Death Murder or whatever the heck it was. But that particular room was just absolutely delightful. Lot of color spreads in there, and then of course, some of the really good moments from the Sports Day Festival. There was a really amazing Midoriya Todoroki panel that was a huge standout panel for me that I absolutely loved.
I also love seeing some of the color pages that were treated like they were done in American comics. Like they have direct market or direct sales or whatever, and fake UPC barcodes and stuff too, kind of like US comics. But yeah, it was really good. Anything else you want to talk about for My Hero Academia?
No, I think the only thing that I would probably mention is there's a little bit of that special Sanji issue near the tail end of the exhibit. Now, I wasn't going to not mention that.
Sure.
So when you actually head out towards some of where the newer manga, so things like Promised Neverland and some of the other ones, they're sort of grouped into a room. So they have little sections, but it's more like kiosks. I think would be the best description.
Little like standy areas, and it's more like these are a mangaka that we are excited about in the present that we're hoping to lead Jump towards another 50 years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That like good intentions, good promises with a lot of their series, and there are a lot of titles that I am not familiar with in Shonen Jump, even for the modern day one. I was like, I've never heard of this at all. I don't know if I want to talk about some of those, but let me go over some of my favorite exhibit ones.
Sure.
I really enjoyed the Assassination Classroom one.
Yes.
They had a replica of the classroom that was built in. There were no desks. No, you weren't able to sit in a desk or anything. But apparently the mangaka actually drew a display on a chalkboard for them to use. And then I think they just kind of like either photographed or somehow printed out the artwork that was on the chalkboard to be on the fake chalkboard thing there to make sure it didn't actually get touched or anything by people, because man, I was definitely seeing a lot of people go really, really close to some of the artwork. I'm like, can you maybe your whole head shouldn't be your nose is almost pressing against the glass. Can you step back a little bit so anyone else can admire the artwork? They also had a Koro Sensei that was there with a kind of like an LED display for the face, so it would kind of change colors and change expressions, and I thought that was a lot of fun. If you happen to like Toriko, they had his entire full course on display, which I was pretty impressed that they made all this fake food from Toriko to actually use there for this display. It was very cool. You also had I can't remember what the name of the Toriko team of 4 main characters along with Komatsu, but you had cardboard standee cutouts of them against the wall, and you can see they had the names of all the food and stuff there too. Some of it looked a lot more appetizing than others, especially when it's cooked and stuff. I don't think I'd ever want to eat pear, and if you are familiar with Toriko, you will know why. I love that there was a lot of Eye Shield love there too, along with Bakuman. The Bakuman display was huge, and with Death Note and Hikaru no Go as well. They kind of I thought that they were going to go in order of appearance, but they were lumping the creators' titles all together. So you had Hikaru no Go, which had a different writer than Death Note and Bakuman, but they lumped all that artist's work together there in one section. It's huge. It covered like a whole bunch of walls. And what I think was funnier, Kelly sort of mentioned this too, when you got to the Gintama section, it actually had a fake boarded off under construction part of the wall saying either we're too good for this, or I couldn't read what it said, but basically you weren't able to see any of the Gintama artwork in the Gintama section except for one, because as Kelly said, it was spread out throughout all the rest of the exhibit. So you would go, all of a sudden you're in Food Wars, and then here is a random Gintama panel because they were talking about cooking at that one time, or
that's I mean, I've only watched about 30 episodes of Gintama myself, but that does sound like a Gintama thing.
Yeah, I was like, this is good that they were on this joke. I thought it was going to be something different. Like, oh, they're just not doing that. Okay, what? But yeah, I liked being proven wrong about that. I think one of the few disappointments I think was that there wasn't a lot for, I believe JoJo's Part 6, Stone Ocean, because like I said, they already had a JoJo exhibit there. at a different location. So I think a lot of the assets and artwork were used for that. And I've seen pictures of it, and man, am I jealous that I wasn't able to go to that.
Yeah, the JoJo one actually happened right after Jump, or no, it was in the same building actually. It was in Roppongi Hills. So I think it was,
but it was in
location,
different.
Right?
No, it was a different location.
Oh, it was a different location. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was actually closer to the. It was closer to the Tokyo Tower area.
Got it.
Yeah.
And they had a bit of a concentration on JoJo's in the previous exhibits as well.
Yes.
So
I think the second exhibit had a big old feature for parts 3, 4, and I think 5.
Yes, if I remember correctly, 5 was in there.
Okay.
It all blurs together a little bit after a while.
It does. How much did you spend at that gift shop, Kelly?
I refuse to say.
So there, yeah. You go ahead.
No, I was saying, because keep in mind, this was after One Piece Day at the Tower and a couple other things. So I was just like, oh man, I've just gotten here too.
Yeah, so of course, being any type of limited edition pop-up exhibit type event or, short time display thing, of course there's a gift shop for you to spend your hard-earned money on. And boy, did I spend a lot of money on that stuff there. The main thing that I'm happy to buying, which is why I'm able to even recall what has been at the exhibit as well as I could without being able to take pictures, is they actually had art books that had all the displays for each exhibit. All 3 exhibits. And even though I didn't go to the first 2, I was like, you bet your ass I'm buying all 3 books for this. And the best thing about it too is that they are dual language. They're in Japanese and in English. So you get creator interviews, you get descriptions of some of the displays that were there. A lot of the creators talking about what they hope for the future for Jump, along with how they got started. It's a fantastic read. There were still a ton of books. I have no idea where they're going to go. Maybe the museum gift shop after it's done. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're going to go to Jump stores. So I don't know. Were you able to pick up any of those books, Kelly?
I did. Yep. I was able to get the books, and then what else did I get? I think I was going to get a print, but to be honest, I didn't really necessarily like the print that they had for One Piece. It was good, but it wasn't one where I was like, I have to have this. So I stopped myself.
It was also, the equivalent of about $400 US.
Yes, yes. Which I still would have bought if I liked it, but
that's true. I would have been tempted.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, if you're going to spend that much money on something, it has to be exactly what you want. So I passed on that and went for some other smaller things that I think probably were just as good buys in the long run. But yeah, the gift shop was great. I think some of it did end up at the Jump shops. And some third-party sellers are still selling some merchandise from it. Nice.
I know that when I went, since it was closer to the tail end of the exhibit, a lot of the B2 size posters were getting sold out. They're less than 24 by 36. I think they're somewhere between 24 by 36 and 18 by 24. But yeah, it's a standard, not US size. I picked up the My Hero Academia poster. I think they said that the Death Note was sold out. I think the Naruto was either sold out or running low when I went, and the Bleach one was running low. I did pick up a manga replica of when Luffy's new bounty was unveiled. I picked up one of those for myself because I really love the manga replica pages that they have.
That's great.
All right. So was that the last bit from the Jump show that you guys want to talk about?
I mean, we could go on forever, but we're going to stop ourselves.
That's true. I could talk. There's so much more manga that I want to appreciate, but this is not the Shonen Jump podcast.
Right.
This is the
is there anything else, One Piece, that you didn't mention? Sounds like you got it all.
Yeah, I ate at the cafe that was in the Tokyo Tower.
How was it?
The cafe was quite nice. I had because it was his birthday, Crocodile's birthday curry or whatever. It was really good, along with getting one of those drinks that came in a souvenir bottle.
Oh, who'd you get? I got one too.
I got the Usopp one because I had to.
Sanji, of course.
Ah.
With gelatin in the bottom. Did yours have gelatin in the bottom?
Mine did. I couldn't remember what fruit it was, but I enjoyed it. I have to look at my pictures on Instagram later because I did definitely do that on my account. But I really enjoyed the drinks that were there. I didn't get to go to the restaurant or the bratier or whatever, but that's what return trips are for.
That's right. That's right. Now, at this point, I've eaten at the tower too many times, and I actually kind of skip it because you go once and you get one of everything for the same thing, that Instagram picture. Then you realize you have to eat all of it. And it's not that it's not good. The food's good, but it's snack food, so it's a little bit heavier. And you're through your like 1,000 sunny rice, and you're like, oh God, I've got 5 cakes here. So it's usually something you only do once if you're going to eat that quantity of food.
I did try.
Sounds like a challenge.
I did try a couple of the games at the Tokyo Tower as well.
Nice.
I think one of the slingshots for Usopp's target thing is broken. Because for some reason, it is one of the slingshots are making the balls, the ammo, move downward rather than upward. So I kept like hitting down, bouncing up over the targets I was trying to hit. Whereas when I went to a different station, I'm like, oh, I can actually shoot straight this way instead. So, okay. So, yeah, I had fun, spent a lot of money.
All right. Kelly, you also went to Universal Studios Japan, is that right?
I did, yes. So every summer they do their Shonen Jump summer, and it's always like a variety of different manga, but One Piece pretty much is always there. And they've been doing a One Piece premiere summer live show for, I think last year was the 10th anniversary of the show. And the best way I can describe it is it's kind of like watching a standalone One Piece movie. Non-canonical at all. Most likely has a scrappy kid or a scrappy young lad in need of help. And, it's one of those types of things where if you tried to compare it to anything that was going on in the manga, you'd be like, yeah, this makes no darn sense. But what they do for the summer is they have one show a day, and they have a water world exhibit at that Universal Studios in Japan, and they take that over for this show that they do at night. So it's all the pyrotechnics you can think of, and it's a stage that's got a big sort of moat of water around it. And this year, the theme was slightly Memories of Alabasta, but then it also had things going on in the current day. So the first half of the show is sort of the flashbacks of everything that happened in Alabasta. And when you go to get your ticket, what they give you is an X sticker to put on your wrist. And you're like, well, I guess I'm going to cry today. Because you know what scene they're going to recreate, and you know what everyone in the audience is going to do. So I get my tickets, and they give me my stickers, and I'm like, crap. All right. And, we were there halfway through the day and did a couple other things. There was a Sailor Moon thing that we wanted to do. And there's 2 different One Piece restaurants. They have a Feast restaurant that's in the Jurassic Park restaurant there that they kind of convert over. And then there's the infamous Sanji's restaurant, which I can only handle going to every other year because I get too excited. So I skipped it this year. But what they did this year for the water battle, which if you're not familiar, in the summer in Universal Studios, because Japan is so hot, they do these water battles throughout the park with, the different themes. So like they have one for Minions, and I think they do one with Looney Tunes or whatever. But for the One Piece one, they do a little stage show in the section that they've sort of cordoned off going toward where they do the actual performance at night. And they had 2 of them this year. The first one was with some of the Straw Hats and Smoker and Tashigi. And essentially what ends up happening, it's the same thing. They're lip syncing over the voice tracks, but they attack you with water cannons. So
what?
Oh my God.
Like the audience?
Everybody. So they tell you, like, you are going to get wet. Like, if you're going to go into this to get a picture, and of course I want the picture. So of course I'm going into this. And my friend's like, give me your stuff. I'm standing over here. Go do whatever you want to do. I'm not dealing with this. But So, you go up and then Luffy's running around and he hides in the crowd. And then when the bad guy du jour comes up, they start shooting, straight up water cannons at you. And it's like a fire hose worth of water hitting you. And then you all have squirt guns that you bring to the park or buy there and you attack them. And everybody's soaked. Now, granted, it's 100 billion degrees in the summer, so you dry pretty quick. But they did 2 different ones this year. So they had that one, and then they had one for Whole Cake Island characters. And they had Cracker and Brulee and Katakuri. And once again, same thing, shooting water, da-da-da. But the costumes are so well done. Oh, my gosh. So a lot of the actors that played the different characters are also either at the Sanji restaurant. Some of them are also in the actual stage show, and they really get just amazingly talented people to do these. So, they look the part. They're definitely, athletic and able to do some stunts. So it's really kind of cool to see. But yeah, if you got your hair done or tried to look good that day, do not go to the water battle, because if you didn't, you will get soaked. I mean, disgustingly soaked. But then, when it was getting close to time, we went over to the actual show, and same thing. There's a theme here. You just keep getting soaked while you're there. There's a splash zone, and we thought we were safe this time. Nope.
Yeah.
So we just kept getting attacked by water all day. But the funny thing with the show, so they do that sort of preview of what happened before in Alabasta, and then they go up to the current day where these random pirates are holding Vivi ransom, but only some of the pirates are here and the rest of them are over where Vivi is, I guess on the way to the Reverie, and they've hijacked her ship or something like that. But the characters that they add make no darn sense. So 2 words, Gangster Gastino. Makes no sense for him to be there. He was freaking amazing. He's got some dry ice thing going. There's smoke shooting out of him, and he's just, tumbling around, and every over drawn out characteristic that he has, the facial expressions, the movements, the yelling, all that stuff. And he's paired up with whatever nameless pirate enemy. So there's always a nameless pirate enemy that you're fighting against. And it's about an hour and a half long show. And then near the tail end, they do this sort of meet and greet, and they just bring out a billion different One Piece characters to run through the audience and high five everyone. It's so stinking random, but the thing that's really cool about that particular show is, once again, it's that multimedia. It's the pyrotechnics, the live actors, they have holograms. The year they had the Straw Hat fleet, for, how do you pronounce the giant's name? I never can pronounce it right. Is it Harjidin?
Hyridin.
Yeah, him. They had him as a giant inflatable. So he would shoot up. No, it's so funny. He would shoot up from the back, right? And he's doing and they shine the light on him, and he's doing his scene, and da-da-da-da-da. And then they kind of take the spotlight away, so you're not supposed to focus on him. All I could do was watch him deflate and laugh.
Wow.
But, they're so creative with it and all that kind of stuff. But then, it just becomes this crazy, almost like being at a boy band concert where everyone just wants to get a high five from the characters because they all look really, really good. So, you're just kind of screaming and getting high fives. And they had Bon Clay was there this year, and Mr. One. But then they also bring out Ichiji and Niji. It's not in the show. They just come out and look good in their little outfit. They give you a high five. I'm hanging out of the seat trying to get Sanji to come over here because, like I said, I have issues. And, he comes by and gives you a high five. And you're like, ah! But yeah, it's really lively. And the coolest thing is you see every age group, and everyone's got a straw hat on or a costume. The kids are dressed up. The parents are dressed up. Everyone's got the sticker on their hand for this one, and they were all holding it up. And I think that's my favorite part about going to that is there are people from all over the world, and you see them coming in on the train because they're all got straw hats on. It's so much fun. You just kind of have that recognition in each other's eyes where you're like, hey, and it's such a nice feeling because being able to celebrate your fandom with a large group of people is really, really fun.
It really makes me want to get the make sure we get OPP Japan back up on
next year. We got it. We should all go again.
Well, no, but also just getting the old version back up on the
Yes.
site because we interview one of the actors for the stage show in the doc.
That's
so
right.
I want people to be able to see that. Gotta get that back up in the website. But, any final thoughts about from you guys about your Japan trips?
I'm planning next year already.
that's not surprising.
One thing I thought was funny was I was doing a lot of shopping at one of those places that have these rental booths for figures, and boy, are there a lot of One Piece figures to buy on a secondhand market. It's kind of insane.
Oh my
the one that I kept seeing a lot of was the Sign of Friendship End of Alabasta ones, just done as whole sets.
Yeah, and I think Steve has that. He's posted that on his Twitter.
Yeah,
they are very prevalent.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was able to get a Robin figure that I wanted for fairly cheap there, thanks to the secondhand market.
Did you hit Nakano or just Akiba?
Both. I did both.
Excellent.
Yeah, too easy to spend money at all those places. I actually had to stop going into stores looking at the rental booths because I kept taking too long. Just like, what about this one or this one or this one? The price on this one, and just like I have to stop. I'm just spending money willy nilly right now, and I need.
Here I ship boxes home. It's ridiculous because there's a couple fandoms that I'm like really obsessed with. So when I go, I know these are the things I'm going to pick up. And we found a secondhand store that had one of the other series that I really like. And it was stuff I had never seen before. And well, clearly I had to get all of it. So oh my gosh. I still never know how my suitcase has survived. Because it is packed to the gills every single time I leave that country.
Would you recommend a suitcase to our listeners?
I would recommend a hard shell, and I would recommend a very large hard shell. And what I would also recommend is filling half of that hard shell with empty duffel bags or you mail your clothes home. Because that's what I sometimes have to do.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I guess that's it unless you guys have any final thoughts.
No.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next segment.
All right.
That's it for the One Piece Podcast, episode 541 for Monday, October 15th, 2018. Thank you, Dennis and Kelly, for that great story that I've totally heard at this point that I'm talking right now.
It was super fun.
Yes.
I am extremely jealous, even not having heard it yet. But I will be listening to this as soon as it comes out. So I'm looking forward to hearing your story. And thank you, Ed, for all your help with that.
No problem, man. I just provided a listening
platform. And I also, of course, want to thank Steven for all his hard work going through Volume 90. It's always an amazing journey going through that. Next week, we are back with a regularly scheduled manga recap and a double anime recap. Sam will be back in the saddle for that. But I think that's everything. Dennis, where could people find you?
You can find me on the Twitstagram at Itchnob, and I also host a podcast about old school anime and drinking lots of wine called the Vintage Anime Club Podcast. And we're going to be talking about Armitage the Third for my next episode, coming out sometime after you listen to this.
Starring Elizabeth Berkley and Kiefer Sutherland.
That's right.
Seriously? I just saw that in every Suncoast I ever went to.
And I believe also Bryan Cranston has a role in it as well.
Yes.
Well, Bryan
Cranston
was in a bunch. Wasn't he a big voice actor back in the day?
He was.
Yeah.
He did a lot of anime before Malcolm in the Middle, and Power Rangers before Malcolm in the Middle too.
Wow.
And Bryan Cranston was actually one of the few who carried, I guess big names now, who carried over from the OVA to the movie. Because Kiefer and Elizabeth Berkley weren't in the OVA version.
Yeah, it was it's that former Scientologist lady who plays in the sequel, right?
Yeah,
Juliette Lewis.
I think I'm going to cap our Armitage the Third discussion right here.
They're not bad movies; they're just kind of mediocre.
As most things Suncoast sold. Kelly.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Karuri and on the One Piece podcast site doing some various articles.
And last but not least, Ed, how could the good people out there find us?
Well, you're Zach_Logan on Twitter. I'm Edward E. One Piece. The podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Please support us, patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Our subreddit is r/OnePiecePodcast. We didn't have any piece together this week, but we will next week.
Yes.
Rest assured. You can also subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number, Zach.
And that phone number is 347-497-MAJI. That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, comments, or theories, we will be back next week with trivia. I apologize. None of that this week. I know you were all on the spot ready to go. I know you had all your knowledge ready to go for this week.
I have all my knowledge ready to go at all times.
That's a good way to be, Ed. So we will see you next week with a regularly scheduled episode of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this fun one. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
We'll see you then, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.